You've entered the archives of the forgotten. I'm Dr. Haunted. Tonight I'll show you what was never meant to be seen. Just remember, once you know the truth, you can't unsee it. The Whispering Pines Trail was supposed to be a moderate 3-mile loop through old-growth forest. My hiking app rated it 4.2 stars with dozens of positive reviews praising the scenic overlooks and well-maintained path. I should have read the negative reviews more carefully. The trail started normally enough, clearly marked wooden signs, wide dirt path, occasional mile markers. I was making good time, enjoying the solitude of a Wednesday morning hike. The forest was dense but beautiful, with towering pines filtering sunlight into cathedral-like beams. At the 2-mile mark, I noticed something odd. The trail split into 2 paths, neither marked on my map. The main trail continued straight, while a narrower path branched left into darker woods. My GPS showed only one route, but there were clearly 2 options ahead of me. I took the main trail, but within minutes, I encountered the same split again. Identical layout, wide path straight, narrow path left. I checked my GPS, confused. According to the app, I'd only moved 50 feet forward. Thinking I'd gotten turned around, I backtracked to the previous mile marker, but it wasn't there. Instead, I found the same trail split for the 3rd time. That's when I noticed the footprints. Fresh boot prints in the soft earth following the narrow left path. The tread pattern was distinctive. Hiking boots with aggressive lugs. The same boots I was wearing. But I hadn't taken the left path. I followed my own footprints, hoping to understand what was happening. The narrow trail wound deeper into the forest, becoming increasingly overgrown. The trees seemed to lean inward, blocking out more sunlight with each step. After 20 minutes, the trail opened into a small clearing. In the center stood an old camping tent, forest green and partially collapsed. Modern equipment surrounded it, a backpack, camping stove, water bottles. Everything looked recently abandoned. I approached cautiously and called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" No response, but something about the campsite felt familiar. The backpack was the same brand as mine, the water bottles identical. When I looked closer at the tent, my blood ran cold. It was the exact same model I owned, down to the small repair patch on the left side. Inside the tent, I found a hiking journal. The handwriting looked like mine, but the entries made no sense. Day 3. Tried the right path today. Led to the same clearing. The tent is still here. Day 7. Food running low. Can't find the way out. Every trail leads back here. Day 12. Starting to think I died on that trail. Maybe this is purgatory for hikers who don't tell anyone where they're going. I flipped to the last entry, dated 3 days ago. Day 15. Saw someone approaching the clearing today. Looked just like me. I think I'm the ghost now. My hands shook as I recognized my own handwriting, though I'd never written these words. I dropped the journal and ran back toward the trail, but the path had changed. Instead of the way I'd come, 3 trails now branched out from the clearing, all leading into dark forest. I chose the middle path and ran. Behind me, I heard footsteps, someone else running, matching my pace exactly. When I looked back, I saw a figure in hiking gear identical to mine, but his face was gaunt, desperate. "Don't go," he called. "You'll just end up back here." I ran harder, following the trail as it twisted through the trees. The footsteps behind me grew fainter until they disappeared entirely. After what felt like hours, I burst out of the forest onto a paved parking lot. My car sat alone under the afternoon sun. I'd been hiking for over 6 hours, though it felt like minutes. My phone had dozens of missed calls from worried friends. I researched the trail that night. Whispering Pines had been closed for 2 years after a hiker named David Chen went missing. He'd been found 3 weeks later in a clearing deep in the forest, sitting in his collapsed tent, dehydrated but alive. David claimed he'd been lost for only a few hours, but his journal told a different story. 15 days of entries describing endless loops through identical trails, always returning to the same clearing. Search and rescue had found him within hours of his disappearance. The trail was reopened after investigators concluded David had suffered a psychological break due to dehydration. They explained away his journal entries as delusions. But I know better. Some trails don't lead home, they lead to versions of yourself that never made it out. The forest keeps collecting hikers, adding them to its permanent population of the lost. I never hike alone anymore, and I always tell someone exactly where I'm going and when I'll be back. The woods remember those who disappear, and sometimes they try to keep you company. David Chen was found again last month, sitting in the same clearing, claiming he'd only been gone for a few hours. This time, searchers found multiple campsites in the area, all abandoned, all identical. The trail remains open. The reviews are still positive. But if you look carefully, you'll notice that several recent reviewers have the same name. They're all named David Chen. The Mount Greylock trail system had been my weekend escape for 3 years. I knew every path, every landmark, every scenic overlook. So when I decided to tackle the advanced Sunset Ridge Trail solo, I felt confident despite the approaching storm clouds. The forecast called for light rain, nothing an experienced hiker couldn't handle. I'd been caught in worse weather and always found my way safely home. 3 hours into the hike, the light rain became a torrential downpour. Visibility dropped to mere feet and the trail became treacherous with mud and rushing water. I took shelter under a rocky overhang, waiting for the storm to pass. That's when I met Marcus. He appeared through the rain like a guardian angel, a tall, athletic man in his 30s wearing high-end gear. His hiking boots looked expensive, his rain jacket was top of the line, and he carried himself with the confidence of someone who'd spent years in the wilderness. "Nasty storm," he said, ducking under the overhang beside me. "You hiking alone?" I nodded, grateful for the company. Been caught in weather before, but this is something else. Marcus smiled warmly. "I know these trails like the back of my hand. Been hiking here for 15 years. There's a shortcut back to the parking area if you want company." Something about his offer felt off, but I couldn't place what. Maybe it was how dry his clothes were despite the downpour, or how his expensive gear showed no signs of wear. But the storm was getting worse, and his knowledge of the area seemed genuine. "That would be great," I said. "Lead the way." Marcus guided me away from the main trail onto what appeared to be a game path. "This cuts through the valley," he explained. "Saves about 2 miles. As we hiked, Marcus told me about his adventures. Climbing in Nepal, trekking through Patagonia, solo expeditions in Alaska. His stories were detailed and engaging, exactly what you'd expect from an experienced outdoorsman. But something nagged at me. His boots made no sound on the wet leaves. When I looked down at the muddy trail, I could see my footprints clearly, but his were strangely absent. "Marcus," I said carefully, "what year did you start hiking here?" 2008, he replied without hesitation. "Been coming every weekend since. These mountains are like home to me." We hiked for another hour, the trail becoming increasingly steep and unfamiliar. The storm had passed, but we were definitely not heading toward any parking area I recognized. The path seemed to be leading us deeper into the wilderness. "Are you sure this is the right way?" I asked. Marcus stopped and turned to me with that same warm smile. But in the fading light, his eyes looked different, hollow, distant. "Trust me, I know exactly where we're going." That's when I noticed the missing person poster stapled to a nearby tree. The photo showed a man who looked exactly like Marcus. Same face, same build, same confident smile. The date at the bottom made my blood freeze. Marcus Webb, missing since October 15th, 2008, last seen on Sunset Ridge Trail. Marcus, I whispered, you've been missing for 15 years. His smile never wavered. Have I? Time moves differently up here. The mountains have a way of keeping what they love. I realized then that I hadn't been following Marcus to safety. I'd been following him deeper into whatever fate had claimed him 15 years ago. He wasn't helping me find my way home. He was trying to ensure I'd never leave. I've been so lonely, Marcus continued, his voice growing distant. 15 years is a long time to wander these trails alone, but now you're here and we can explore together forever. I backed away slowly. I need to get home, Marcus. People are expecting me. They expected me too, he said sadly. But the mountains called and I answered, just like you did today. I turned and ran, crashing through underbrush as Marcus called after me, "You can't leave. The trail only goes one way now." I followed my own footprints back through the mud, ignoring scratches from branches and the burning in my lungs. Behind me, Marcus's voice grew fainter, but never truly disappeared. "I'll be waiting. I'll always be waiting." After what felt like hours, I burst onto the main trail just as a search and rescue team rounded the bend. They'd been looking for me after other hikers reported seeing someone head into the storm alone. I tried to explain about Marcus, but they exchanged worried glances. "Son," the team leader said gently, "you've been missing for 18 hours. We found you talking to yourself by that old missing person poster." I led them back to where I'd met Marcus, but found only the weathered poster and my own confused footprints circling the area. According to the rescue team, I'd been walking in loops for hours, apparently carrying on conversations with empty air, but I know what I experienced. Marcus Webb is still out there, still hiking those trails, still looking for companionship in his endless wandering. The mountains took him 15 years ago, and he's been trying to share that gift ever since. I researched his disappearance afterward. Marcus had been an experienced hiker, just like he'd claimed. Search teams found his camp 3 days after he went missing, but never found him. The case was closed after 6 months. Every few years, hikers report meeting a helpful stranger who offers to guide them to safety. Most make it home safely with stories of a guardian angel on the mountain, but some don't make it home at all. They're probably still up there, following Marcus Webb on trails that lead deeper into the wilderness. Companions for his eternal hike through mountains that never let go of what they love. Echo Valley earned its name from the unique acoustic properties of its steep granite walls. Hikers loved to test the echo by shouting into the canyon and listening to their voices bounce back, sometimes for 30 seconds or more. My friends and I discovered this phenomenon during our first visit to the remote Colorado wilderness area. We were college seniors celebrating spring break with a challenging backpacking trip, instead of the typical beach vacation. "Hello!" Sarah shouted into the valley, her voice reverberating off the stone walls in perfect clarity. "Hello, hello, hello," came the response, each echo fainter than the last. We spent an hour experimenting with different sounds, songs, animal noises, even full conversations. The valley faithfully returned everything we gave it, creating an otherworldly symphony of delayed voices. But on the third day, the echoes started saying things we hadn't. It began subtly. Mike would shout, "Good morning," and swear the echo responded with "Good evening." Sarah called, "How are you?" and the return seemed to be, "Who are you?" We laughed it off as audio pareidolia, our brains finding patterns in random sounds. Then the echoes began lasting longer than they should have. According to basic physics, sound waves in Echo Valley should fade within 45 seconds. But our voices were coming back for minutes at a time, sometimes seeming to carry on entire conversations we couldn't quite make out. The phenomenon intensified on our fourth night. We were sitting around the campfire when we heard it clearly, our own voices having a discussion we'd never had. "We should leave tomorrow," Sarah's voice said from the darkness. "Why?" "We just got here," Mike's voice responded. "Something's wrong with this place," my voice added. "Can't you feel it watching us?" But we were all sitting in stunned silence around the fire. None of us had spoken. "That's impossible," Mike whispered. "Echoes don't work that way." From the valley came his voice. "Echoes don't work that way. Work that way, that way." But underneath his echo we heard something else. Other voices, older voices, having similar conversations. The valley remembers everything we say. Every word, every scream, every whisper. 30 years I've been trapped in these walls. Help us, please help us. I researched Echo Valley when we returned to cell service. What I found made my blood run cold. The area had a history of missing hikers dating back to the 1970s. Every few years someone would disappear without a trace, despite extensive search efforts. The missing persons all shared common factors. They were experienced hikers, they'd visited Echo Valley, and witnesses reported hearing their voices calling for help long after they'd vanished. We tried to leave the next morning, but our trail seemed different. Landmarks we'd noted on the way in were gone or moved. The path split in directions that didn't match our map. Every time we thought we'd found the exit route, we'd end up back at our campsite. That's when we realized the truth. We weren't just hearing echoes of missing hikers. We were hearing their ongoing conversations, their eternal attempts to find their way out of a valley that had claimed their voices and refused to let them go. "We're trapped too," Sarah said quietly. From the canyon walls came immediate confirmation. "Trapped too, trapped too. Welcome to forever." But these weren't echoes of her words. They were responses from the others who'd realized the same thing. The breakthrough came when I understood the valley's nature. It didn't just trap voices, it fed on communication, growing stronger with every word spoken within its walls. The more we talked, tried to plan, called for help, the more powerful its hold became. "We need to stop talking," I whispered. For the next 2 days, we communicated only through gestures and written notes. The valley's influence weakened without our voices to sustain it. The phantom conversations grew fainter. The echoes returned to normal duration. On the 3rd day of silence, we found a trail that actually led out of the valley. But as we crested the ridge and looked back, we could still hear voices in the wind. Dozens of conversations overlapping. Hikers from different decades all trying to coordinate their escape from a prison made of sound and stone. We reported our experience to park rangers, but they dismissed it as altitude sickness and stress hallucinations. Echo Valley remains open to hikers. The missing person reports continue. If you visit Echo Valley, remember this: speak carefully, if at all. The walls are listening and they remember everything. Some echoes never fade, they just wait for new voices to join the eternal conversation. Last month, a hiker posted a recording from Echo Valley online. In the background of his cheerful hello, you can hear dozens of other voices whispering, "Don't speak, don't speak." It's listening, always listening. The post was taken down within hours, but the warning remains. Some places collect more than memories. They collect the very essence of human communication, trapping souls in an endless loop of words that can never reach their intended destination. That concludes tonight's case. But the shadows don't sleep. I'm Dr. Haunted. Until next time, keep your doors locked, your lights low, and your nightmares closer.